Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's Olichi, and in this video, we're going to be talking about budgeting for college students. In this video, we're going to be talking about budgeting, how I started budgeting, and how I budget. So let's start. I didn't start budgeting until I think 2 years ago. When I first entered university or college, I never used to budget. In fact, I knew what budgeting was, but I didn't use to budget. However, I noticed that my money would finish so quickly, and in 2 weeks, I'm already asking my dad for more money. And even though my dad never complained or asked me anything about it, I started feeling weird. Because I don't like, asking for help. It just feels like cringe to me. And so I had to start tracking my transaction history. And I don't like tracking my transaction history. Like whenever I buy something, even till now, I don't like looking at the debit alert. I don't know. It just I don't just like seeing the amount of money that I have lost, basically. So that's why sometimes even when I get credited by my dad or some of my uncles and aunties, I don't even realize until I don't know, maybe the spirit of God just draws in my heart to check my account balance. And then I see that it has increased and then I find out that someone sent me money. Because anytime I see any message from my bank, I immediately swipe because I just assume that it's some sort of debit alert or some sort of levy or something like that. So, anyways, I decided to check my transaction history and I began to see how much I was buying. So it's not like I didn't know that I was spending so much, but it's more like little things were adding up. So these little things I was like, oh, let me just put myself a little, I'll get this, or the data I was consuming, and so many other different things. And when I checked them, I was spending so much. I don't even know who I thought I was in that like 100 level because I'm not even like rich, like all these like kind of big girls that can afford to spend that much of money and their bank account will not even take a hit. I'm just like an average college student with an average college student income, makes any sense. And I don't know why I was spending that way. And so I started budgeting. However, the things that I was doing were not as efficient as I wanted them to. So it's not like they didn't work. They did work, but they didn't work as well as I wanted them to. And so I decided to start checking other videos on YouTube and things that can help me budget more efficiently. However, most of the videos I see on YouTube for college students are for people who are or who have like the let's say American system of college or this in Canada and stuff like that. So basically the way their finances work and every other thing is very different from the way things work in Nigeria. So I saw this video on TikTok just randomly. Her name is the Money Mom, I think. I don't know if that's her name. It's been a very long time since I saw that video. And I took one or two things from the way that she, budgeted. So normally, what people normally have is I think the 50-30-20 rule. 50 is for your expenses or your needs. 30 is for your wants and 20 is for your savings. So because of that video, I decided to change my approach to budgeting. So first, I'm going to find out my source of income, which is mostly from my parents, and I do have like a business and also my YouTube, but I haven't started like making money off of them. So just income from my parents. Then I split them into different percentages. So 10% for tithes. I don't really use the 10% all the time because in student church here in school, they don't really ask for tithes, so I don't really pay tithes as often as much. So I only pay tithe when I go home. So 10% for tithes, 60% for my needs, necessities, that's my food, my data, and some other things that are important to me. If you have like a higher purchasing power, obviously you can do like 50%. But I find that 60% is a sweet spot for me. Sometimes I use 60, sometimes I use 70, depending on the month. And then I have 10% for my savings and 20% for emergencies. And now let's talk about the importance of savings. I do know that some people do not have the privilege or the luxury of saving money because whenever I see it on like internet and Twitter, people are talking about how you should save money and blah blah blah. And some people talk about how difficult it is to save money. I I do understand that people's situations are different, but I feel like in a week you should be able to save at least 100 naira, which I mean might not sound much, but over time it accumulates. This kind of like, I think this box that people usually buy these days, this local box, I think in Nigeria, where they have like a little hole, so you now save, roll your money and put into the hole, and then at the end of the year you calculate how much you have saved, and that's a very beautiful way to look at it. I personally don't have that box. I use a separate bank account. So when I want to save my money, I take the amount of money that I am saving for that month and then I transfer it to the other bank account. Then emergencies, I do feel like emergencies do not happen all the time. So you can obviously add your emergencies to your savings, or you can keep emergencies as your, emergencies. Anything can happen. Sickness. I keep my emergency money for maybe in case I get sick, which hardly happens. I hardly ever fall sick, or for like school things. If you're attending, a typical Nigerian university, you understand the random contributions that does happen at any point in time. So that's what I keep the money for. I just like the fact that I'm not going to use all that money, and so I can just add it to either my savings or my needs and my wants. Now, for my needs and my wants, I do calculate how much I need. So, for food, obviously, food takes the most amounts of money for my needs. And then I do have things like data, which is like very necessary, very important. I think just food and data basically, which might sound like, oh, it's just food and data, but food here, at least in my school, is expensive. So I had to customize it to fit my needs, which is what a budget is. It doesn't have to be rigid. You have to find out what works for you. What is your sweet spot? How do you arrange your money or your needs and wants in such a way that everything is covered and you are satisfied and you're able to use your money maximally? That's just what your budgeting is. So it doesn't have to be like a fixed rule. Like the money mom, she did keep I think 50 or 55% for needs and wants, but I made mine 60 because I saw that 50% for my needs and wants was not cutting it. And something else that helped me is like an extra tip is number one, discipline. Discipline is going I think discipline for like is very important for basically anything. Discipline is very important in any aspect of your life, especially when you're dealing with your finances. I don't know how much people have stressed on different videos, especially like people talk about like money and investing, how important it is to be very, very disciplined when it comes to your finances, because it's very easy for people to fall into the trap of quick gratification. Oh, I need this, okay, I get it. Oh, I need this, I have the money, okay, I get it. And then what next? And I see like people making jokes about how they get that wig or that bag or that shoe or that whatever that they want when they still, have needs, and then they will just eat bread for the rest of the month. It's funny, but that should not be the way of life. Oh, let me spoil myself. Oh, I only live once, and so I have to do this now. That is not how life is. I'm not saying that you shouldn't spoil yourself once in a while, but if you can't manage little, amounts of money right now, when you have big amounts of money, you're going to find yourself running into bankruptcy. And if you don't have discipline, you're going to see yourself borrowing and maybe like, oh my God, God forbid, but it happens. That's how you see yourself borrowing, loaning money, and just, wasting your money. And at the end of the day, you try to track what exactly do you do with your money, and you see you ended up doing nothing reasonable with your money. Another tip that I do is micro budgeting. After I've drawn up my budget for the month, I've taken away my savings, I've taken away my emergencies and some other things that, other finances that I don't want to be added into my main account. I do micro budgeting. Money I receive is monthly. And so I meant to use that money for 28, 29 days. So you find out the amount of money you set aside for your needs, for in my case, food, and then I divide it for the entire by the entire 28 days, and I find out the amount of money that I should be spending on an average. And if that money is too small, I'm going to take from my savings and add to my needs and wants. And if it's okay, I'm just going to leave it at that. So it's not like I followed this amount of money that I have set, or my money limit for the day strictly. Sometimes I go over it, sometimes I go below it. But the most important part is that I am accountable to myself, and I know that since I spend this amount of money today, I know that tomorrow I cannot spend so and so amount of money. And it might seem like, you're just punishing yourself, just live a little. But I just love things to be in order, and you should too, and not just let yourself, because when you're in the university, it's very easy to be carried away by peer pressure, because it's a very small community, and so you're seeing these people who are living life very differently. You want to go and buy food, you want to order something, and someone is just ordering like they're going for a party, and you're just like, let me just take this little amount. Except you don't have self confidence, because to be very honest, that kind of thing or those kind of things do not affect me. Unless you don't have self confidence, you're going to be easily swayed, and you're going to start buying things that you don't need, buying, trying to spoil yourself. And then at the end of the day, you have yourself to blame, because those people are not living, the same life rather as you are. Okay, and if all else fails, if you can get an accountability partner, it will be very, very important. Okay, yeah, that's it for this video. If there's anything that you want to add to this video, or if any contributions you want to make to this video, please leave them in the comments below. And I'm going to see you next week.